4:30 a.m. in Siem Reap. I thought it might be interesting to have a brief discussion about Cambodia and what's going on. Alrighty, so it's been a while since my last update, and the reason for that is, first of all, I want to spend time with my family while they're here in Cambodia. Don't want to deal with videoing, editing, coming up with ideas and stuff like that. So I took a break from updates and vlogs and videos and photos and stuff like that. And then after they left, I wanted a week just to relax and chill and kind of brainstorm ideas for what I would do in the future, kind of ideas where to take the vlog and the vlog and videos and stuff like that. Not really sure if I made any progress in that regard, but it has been nice just being able to concentrate on work and talking to Elizabeth in the mornings and just kind of building a daily routine. But to start off the Cambodia episodes, I thought I would answer a couple of questions that mostly family has asked me, but also a couple of my close friends who know that I'm over here, as well as just some Cambodian people as I've been talking to them. The first question is, how is Cambodia and what is it like? Which is a really fun question to think about. I think if I came to Cambodia before my mission, I would say that I would not have been disappointed that I went to Long Beach when I opened my mission call and after I got to Long Beach because of how similar they are. So the infrastructure is a lot better in Long Beach. There's obviously a lot better government programs. There's a lot better social programs and free education, stuff like that. Cambodia does not have stuff like that. However, the culture is very much similar between the Khmer diaspora and Cambodia itself. The Cambodian people over there have the same type of religion and sayings and even accents as they do over here, and just the way that they do things is just very similar. The way that they think, the way that they speak, the way that they live their daily lives. Even to some extent, the scenery in California was similar in that it was kind of dusty. A lot of the similar trees grow over there and grow over here, and a lot of the interiors of the houses and the outsides of the houses look pretty much the same from what I've seen so far. So Cambodia, it's been great. It's been fun to come here, but it's not as different as I thought it was going to be from Cambodia, or basically any other Cambodian household that I've been to in the States. That being said, it obviously is a lot less developed than the United States. And just as I expected, as you're flying over Thailand, you can kind of see when you're flying over the Cambodian border, because basically you go from a bunch of lights in Thailand and a bunch of infrastructure and electricity to Cambodia, where even Siem Reap, which is the second largest city, is largely dark when you land. So there is that aspect to it. There's obviously, that was a gecko. There's more geckos here. There's a lot of stray dogs, which are annoying, and there's a lot of trash and pollution. So those are all, I guess, kind of different things. Which one do I like better? I think I like them both in different ways, but I would have to say that I'm glad that I served my mission in Cambodia, and probably in retrospect would have preferred and enjoyed it a little bit more than I would have here. So that was kind of a cool realization that I've had since being here. Second question. Is Cambodia everything that you expected? I guess yes and no. One of the things I did expect is in the United States, I can pretty much guarantee when I speak Cambodian in public to other Cambodians, people will freak out. Here that happens, but I did not expect there to be so many Westerners that speak Cambodian that it wasn't, that they didn't have that kind of shock factor. So I guess people have made comments on my vocabulary, my grammar, my accent, but they haven't really been shocked per se that I can speak. They've been more shocked that I can read and write, because I guess most people don't do that. So that's been one of the biggest shocks. And then the second shock, just like I was saying before, was that it's not, night and day difference from what the ghettos of Long Beach or, south of Compton was like. And I use the term ghetto very, very loosely. Where I served was not particularly dangerous. So, those have been the two biggest things. Yeah. Next question, is it different from Burma? The answer to that would be absolutely. Absolutely. Why is it different? Well, I haven't seen a lot of Burma, I haven't seen a lot of Cambodia yet, but obviously the geography is a lot different. Let's talk about people that I have interacted with in the parts of the country that I do know. I have interacted with a lot of Burmese people in Burma, and I have interacted with a lot of Cambodian people in Cambodia. And I think the biggest thing is you can definitely tell that there are two different colonial legacies. Definitely tell that the people that speak English in Myanmar are extremely good and gifted at English. And the people that speak good English here, they still make very common grammatical errors and mistakes. I could not comment as to how good their French is. So maybe they're better in French. But anyway, you can tell there's different colonial legacies. That's one of the obvious ones. The second one is just kind of the population. So you have a lot of, I guess, proud scholarly heritage in Burma, where a lot of people have relatives that were kind of scholars, and everybody's trying to maintain a sense of scholarship to the best of their ability, despite the government interventions and unrest and stuff like that. And people are very much still very, very avid readers, very hard studiers, and people were, it would not be uncommon to go and talk to someone about the meaning of a poem, or their opinion on foreign policy, or their opinion on domestic policy as far as they know it in Myanmar. In Cambodia, it's a little bit different, and that's mainly because of the whole genocide from 75 to 79, and then the aftermath of the Third Indochinese War when Vietnam came over here. Because Pol Pot had kind of Maoist tendencies, a lot of the educated elite and a lot of the people that knew most of the culture and the values, are kind of the things that differentiated Cambodia from its neighbors. Those types of people were all executed. And because of that, there's a huge pedagogical gap, and there's a huge information and education gap. And because of that, everybody kind of starts on ground zero. So people aren't very educated, and people's conversation, I guess, is a lot more simple and a lot more geared towards survival and geared towards making a living than it is about these lofty concepts or, scholarly debates. That being said, Burmese people still very much care about, how they're going to make the next meal come, how they're going to put the next meal on the table. So that's interesting. Cambodia only has 16 million people, and it might not get that much bigger in the next 20, 50 years. They do have a youthful population. Myanmar, however, is kind of a powerhouse. There's 50 million people and increasingly youthful population. The population is continuing to grow. And I guess strategically, Myanmar has way more economic potential because it's underdeveloped. It's between India and China, and it can either make or break those trade relations. And Cambodia is really in between Vietnam and Thailand, and kind of just acts as a buffer state between the two. And that's really why Cambodia wasn't given a lot of attention during the French colonial times, because it was just seen as a buffer state. The French used it to pin, themselves and their most valuable colony, which was Vietnam, against Thailand, and more importantly against Great Britain on the other side. Burma very much is aware of their significance in the region and in the world economy. In the future, as China continues to grow and threatens to displace the US as the largest economy in the world, and especially as India continues to grow and maxes out on their population and workforce by, I think it's approximately 2050, 2030, something like that. Sanitary things, they're both pretty similar. The internet and the infrastructure in Myanmar, I would say, is far less developed, far more electricity outages, and I would also say that, but they have cool things like they have very efficient, at least from what I could tell and what I wrote, bus systems. Yeah. So I guess that's culture. I feel like it's not fair to compare them based off of geography, which is prettier and stuff like that, because they're just two different locations. So I try to compare it to people, but that also doesn't make sense because they're also two different cultures and two different types of people. But anyway, that's what I have to say about them. Next question that I've been asked a lot is, which country do you like better and why? I would have to say I like Burma. I'm a fan that there's a lot less tourists. Every day I'd say maybe, for sure, 100 less than 10 Westerners, but maybe on an average day, maybe 2, maybe 3. Here I stay out of the tourist areas, and for example, where I eat, there's only ever been a Westerner there once in the past 2 weeks, and where I live is also not near any Western hotels. I mean, it's relatively near, but I'm just not bordering any of them. It's kind of in the middle by a marketplace. And most of my neighbors here are also Cambodian, except this neighbor is French. But because of all this tourism and, because people come over here and they volunteer and they help people out and they feel bad for all that Cambodia's been through, a lot of the people equate a Westerner with money. And so the people kind of have a privileged attitude, which comes through as you go to the marketplace or as you go shopping, where I hear it all over the place that that person right there, you can charge him a higher price because he'll pay more, he'll pity us and stuff like that, he deserves to pay more. And then when you don't pay more, when you kind of argue with them a little bit, saying that's outrageously, that's like 5 times more expensive than the normal price. They do have an attitude, whereas in Burma it's a lot less like that, and usually only towards things like transportation and things that the government and UNESCO controls are there really any, I guess, big price differentials. And people also, if you don't get run down by offers to go places, and people aren't, cramming and competing for your attention to sell you stuff, unless you go to the very touristy places. So that's also good. I also appreciate the kind of scholarly feeling and the value of traditional English education in Burma, just because I grew up with a British program, so maybe I feel a little bit more at home over there. And I also just kind of like the element of it's way less explored than Cambodia is. And even Laos, which is at the bottom, I think, other than Timor-Leste, and which borders Indonesia, it's the poorest country in Southeast Asia, really going nowhere, still a very active socialist regime, and even Laos has something like 4 to 5 million tourists per year, and Myanmar, which is substantially bigger, the largest country in Southeast Asia, had less than 400,000. So it just puts things into perspective a little bit about how underdeveloped and unexplored Myanmar is. Okay, next question. What do I do each day? So right now I'm working for the Center of Khmer Studies called CKS, and I am a communications intern. And basically what that has entailed so far is I will do random tasks for 10 to 15 minutes per day, and the rest of the day I'll just research job openings or job opportunities and prepare for career development once I get back to the States. So I've done stuff, I've analyzed some Excel data, I've written a couple of reports, I've interviewed the deans to a couple of universities over here, done some research, I've written reports on public lectures that they host, and I've done a lot of translating between English and Khmer to English. Where I work is only 1.1 kilometers from where I live, so that's like 0.68, 0.7 miles away. So I just walk there. I wake up at around 4 o'clock, 4:30. I talk to Elizabeth as soon as I wake up. And after I wake up and talk to Elizabeth, I read my scriptures. Then I shower, usually do some type of reading, usually text Elizabeth a little bit more on and off. Then I walk to work, and then at work I work from 7 until 12. And if 12 to 2 I have a break, and I go to lunch. And this is where I go to lunch. So this is over the meadow and through the woods and across the rice fields and under the cows and over the water buffalo to where I eat lunch. And at the place where I go to lunch, I actually teach this guy English. He's 27, he's married, he has 2 kids, and he's a taxi driver that doesn't have work, much like a lot of the other men that are out here. And so when he doesn't have customers, I teach him English for free, just because it helps him out a little bit. And it's not like I do anything else at my lunches, so I feel like it's a good use of my time. And then afterwards, I go back to work until 5, and then 5, I walk back home, come here, I read or do other research, and then I go to dinner, usually around 6:30 or 7, and then I come back, and I'm usually in bed between 8:30 and 9:30. And when I'm reading, not that this matters, or not that I should need to clarify this, but I want to clarify it that reading is mostly geared towards studying to pass the Foreign Service Officer Test, FSOT, and so I'm reading dry books on the Constitution and why each article and why each article is written the way it is in the Constitution, and why each section within each article is written how it is, and then also just the historical and legal and social backgrounds surrounding all of the amendments. So as it's kind of one of those books where you wouldn't read unless you're forced to for school or you have nothing else to read. And I intentionally brought 2 books that are like that I would never read unless I had nothing else to read to Cambodia, so that I would get them read and hopefully give myself an advantage on the FSOT next time around in February. So yeah, if anybody wants to see anything specific about what I'm doing or what I'm seeing or how I'm feeling and stuff like that, feel free to message me on WhatsApp or iMessage or email me and I will get back to you. And just before I ended the video, this is the walk from my work to my house or my apartment, and I'll show you guys where I work and stuff like that in another video. Have a good day, good night. Well, it's good night here. Have a good day over there.